Hey everyone, so what are the best games on the Game Pass? That's what I'm going to cover in this one. So there are loads of games on the Game Pass, so many it's hard to pick which ones to really play. So I'm going to cover some of the best games here and trying to help you pick your next favourite game. So what I've done is I've gone through the Game Pass and picked some of my favourite games and also ones that I've heard are popular from other players as well, and I'll give you a quick overview of each one. We'll go alphabetical, even though it's back to front here. I added all the games and then you can't filter it this way. So let's talk about the first one. This is an oldie but a goodie. It was released in 2014. It's Alien Isolation, and this game actually physically gave me nightmares. This game is super scary. And basically it's sort of wrapped around the alien universe, and you have a big hoofing alien hunting you, and wow, is it spooky. It is so spooky in places, but it is a brilliant game. It's more a stealth thing, so there's not so much of shooting people. There's a little bit of shooting, not too much. There's like little dudes like this that you've got to shoot and stuff, but it's more about getting to the end and not getting discovered by the alien. Like you hide in lockers, and it's just brilliant. So well worth a look if you've never played that, but it is a PEGI 18. Next up, Among Us. This is a more recent game released in 2021. Really simple game. It's basically a whodunit idea. So one of you is the imposter, and the other players have to figure out who is the imposter, who's killing people, and you do that with a mix of text, and one of you becomes the imposter, or two, like you can see here, and the other ones have to figure out how it all works. You can also get specific roles. It's a very simple game, but it's actually quite a bit of fun. It's a good one for multiplayer. 4 to 15 players play it, and yeah, worth checking out. It's only a PEGI 7 as well, so a simple one to check out. Next on my list is Batman Arkham Knight. This is a fantastic Batman game if you're a Batman fan. This was released in 2015 by Warner Brothers Games. There's a nice trailer there for it, but I won't show you that. But the graphics in it are really cool. I love the dark look to it, and the Batman suit I think is the coolest suit since the Dark Knight. I think really cool suit. You can also get unlock loads of other suits. The battling is really fun. The storyline is brilliant. And highly recommend you play this game, even though it's several years old now. It's a fantastic game to get your teeth into, particularly if you're a Batman fan. Moving on, City Skylines. So this is a very complicated game to get your head around, but it's basically you construct a city. You take advantage of all of this, the planning tools, and build all the buildings. You come up with areas for people to work, and it can get beautifully complicated. You lay it out, you build all the road networks, the sewage systems, the electric supply, and all of that. But it is quite a steep learning curve. It was out in 2017, so it's several years old now, but it is a very fascinating game. So part of what I'm trying to do here is pick a variety of games from the Game Pass for you, so whatever floats your boat. An old RPG is next. So this is Skyrim. This is the special edition. This was made in 2016, and Skyrim is a fantastic adventure game. In my opinion, not quite as good as Witcher 3 for the storyline, and I find the acting a bit wooden, but the world is big and beautiful and very interesting to explore. So it's not quite Elden Ring, but it was made a long time ago, and actually works really well. So if you're an adventure fan and you've never played it, well worth a look. Next up, Elite Dangerous. This is a space simulation game, and it is huge. So very complicated to get your head around initially, but you basically can explore the entire universe almost. Huge star systems, crazy amounts of things to do. You can go exploring planets. You can do awesome space fights. And it takes a while to get your head around. Also quite cool is you can get a flight stick and use that with this game, but it's a very impressive game, and you can while away hundreds of hours playing Elite Dangerous. Next up, we have Fallout 4, again an old classic. So this one is from 2015, and it sort of thinks about the nuclear fallout. So like there was a nuclear detonation and how people survived after it, and very interesting game the way it works. Pretty cool battle system, beautiful destroyed world to explore as well. Well worth a look if you've never played it. Huge game. It's going to take you a long time to complete as well. PEGI 18, as you can see there as well. Next up, we have Farming Simulator 22. This actually came to Game Pass very swiftly. So this was only released in 2021, late 21 that was, and it's already on Game Pass. PEGI 3, hard to get your teeth into, very hard to make money. This is terrible. That's your image of it. But basically, you can set up a farm. You do all of the harvesting of all your crops. You can choose what you do. You can make greenhouses and grow stuff in greenhouses. You can raise cattle, horses, chickens, do bees and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's quite an interesting game, but quite hard to get your teeth into. But quite fun. So you can watch the video. I'm trying not to play videos in here, which is quite amusing considering I'm doing a YouTube thing, but I don't want all the music sort of distracting us. Next up, the most fun racing game around, I think, Forza Horizon 5. This is not a serious car simulator, but it has a huge amount of cars, and they look beautiful. You basically bomb around Mexico, doing all sorts of challenges, some online, some offline. And you do all sorts of different fun car things, from drifting to standard races to trekking across countries and all sorts of stuff. There's basically it's going on the festival theme, that you're going to be doing all these festivals to attract people to watch your car shows and things like that. And it is a huge amount of fun. There are a crazy number of cars in this game, and the world is big and beautiful and fun to explore. Also on the Game Pass is Forza Horizon 4, which is the same sort of thing, but up in, I think it's in Scotland or North England. I can't remember quite where, but it's again a lot of fun and a lot of value. Again, you can while away hundreds of hours on this game. Next is one I haven't played yet. This is on my to-do list, but The Outer Worlds is a fascinating adventure game as far as I've heard. It's a PEGI 18, but you can see very interesting looking world that I really need to get around to exploring, but it has a lot of happy players of this game, so it is a game I want to check out. It came out in 2019, so one to check out, I think, if you're interested in your sort of adventure games. Next is a very short but beautiful game, very clever little game, and one of the most enjoyable ones I discovered on Game Pass. And this is What Remains of Edith Finch. And it's the story of this weird house and what happened to the inhabitants of it. And it's very, very beautiful the way it's done. And it's basically a lot of short stories all tied together onto what happened in this house. And loads of different styles and looks as you play the game. Great storyline. Highly recommend you play it. It'll only take you a few hours to complete, but well worth a look. So it was out in 2017. This was by Annapurna Interactive, who do a lot of interesting smaller games. So well worth it. Now, an oldie, but such a goodie. Dead Space. One of the cool things about the Game Pass, if you're on the Xbox, even if you're on Xbox Series X, backwards compatibility is awesome. So you can play games that are so old. So this one, 2010, this came out. And wow, did I love this game when it first came out. I remember playing it then. Obviously, it's dated now. I think the team at Dead Space are remastering this for the next-gen consoles. But, you know, the gameplay of this is still fantastic. It's spooky as hell. It's a sci-fi kind of horror thriller type thing. There's things that pop out of you super fast and scare the bejesus out of you. But it is a really, really interesting, fun game. I love the sort of slowdown of time with it, and just the way you zap things and dismember things. So you have to like knock the limbs off of things to blow them up properly. It's really cool, and the way the suit upgrades is brilliant. Storyline's pretty good as well. There's also further ones after Dead Space. I didn't think they were as good, but it is a brilliant, dark sci-fi game. Next up is my personal favourite, and this is why I picked an Xbox over a PlayStation, and it is the Gears of War series. Being owned by Microsoft now, you have all of the Gears of War games on here, and really cool was Ultimate Edition of Gears of War remastered the original Gears of War and upped the graphics quality, so you can see a beautiful looking, dark, sort of aggressive game. Reminds me of Aliens, you know, the way you've got these big, huge, you know, muscly dudes who are ready to kick some butt and take on aliens. I love the dialogue of it. I love the dark, dirty world. And the whole series was fascinating from start to end. The early game in particular was brilliant, you know, when you think of the time. And one of the things it did, which was a genius move, was they added a chainsaw onto a hoofing big gun. So the Lancer in the game is such fun because you can shoot and you can also do melee with the chainsaw. It's very, very bloody. It's very vicious. It's quite aggressive. But if you like dark sci-fi, these are must-play games in my opinion. And the mechanics of the shooting is just absolutely fantastic. I still think it's the best balanced shooter. You shoot from third person and it works really, really well. Moving on, Goat Simulator. If you're after a bit of light-hearted fun, this is just absolutely bonkers. You're a goat and you get to do crazy things. with his goat and all kinds of weird and random challenges. And this is a game that just makes you laugh. It's just bananas, the way this works. So if you just want a bit of fun, Goat Simulator is worth checking out and trying to do all these crazy challenges. It's just something you've got to play. It's just so random. But it's been out a long time now. 2015 it was released, but it is really, really fun. Sort of the opposite, no, I wouldn't say opposite, but similar. So Halo, you tend to get Halo fans or Gears of War fans. Halo, brilliant storyline. I just find it a little bit too, I don't know, it's almost a little too goody two shoes for me. You know, some of the graphics, some of the characters are a bit too, you know, light-hearted for me. So whilst it's fun, it's an interesting shooter. I think it's kind of missing that dark, violent side that I like in games, but Halo has a huge fan base. Multiplayer really, really popular for that as well. And you can go back to the original Halo ones with the Master Chief Collection, or you can go to the latest ones with Halo Infinite. Being owned by Microsoft Studios, you've got the whole lot there to explore. So I know I'll be annoying some Halo players there, but I've always been Gears of War over Halo. I've tried playing Halo a few times and it just doesn't grip me the way Gears of War did. I think part of it is the storyline, but I just love dark sci-fi over, you know, more jovial sci-fi, but maybe I'm the minority there. Next up we have Hitman Trilogy. So Hitman Trilogy is a bunch of games where, funny enough, you're a hitman. If we jump into this, you've got various challenges where you've typically got to take out a target, and it's up to you how you take that target out. You get bonuses if you can try and take out the people, you know, silently and stop people discovering the bodies, and you know, you'll get also bonuses if you don't kill so many people and you just take out the main target. They're quite interesting games. There's been several of them. Obviously here you've got Hitman 1, 2 and 3. And they're going to entertain you for a long time. So again, Peggy 18, so quite an adult set of games there. Another fun one, Human Fall Flat. This is a fun physics-based game. Come out in 2017. It's not going to take you ages to complete this one, but you've basically got a bunch of random challenges and you've got to get from one part to another to complete each level. There's also multiplayer games where you can interact with lots of other players as well and have fun that way, but the way the characters move around is just hilarious. They're like these weird sort of doughboy type characters, and the way they just move and plop around is just funny. So it's a good entertaining game, simple puzzle game. Well, I say simple, it can be very complicated at places, but the basic premise is relatively simple, but it works really well, so worth checking out. Mass Effect. So I've never really got into these. I found them a little too happy for my personal taste of sci-fi, but they have a huge following, so great RPGs with lots of great storylines and loads of places to explore and a huge fan base for them. So again, there's several that have been released over the years. They're Peggy 18 and you can go back to the original one even though it's Xbox 360, or go to the more modern ones. So all of them are on the Game Pass, or most of them at least, if not all. Another really cool one, Middle Earth. Shadow of War. So the Middle Earth games are really, really cool. They're sort of based on the sort of Lords of the Ring kind of mythology, I suppose, or whatever you'd like to call it. And they're fun action games where you play third person and do almighty battles and explore big and beautiful worlds. They're well worth a play. Very, very interesting. So this one was released in 2017, Peggy 18, but worth a look. Microsoft Flight Simulator is next. This is a huge install, this game, like 103 gigabytes. It was released in 2021, and if you have any interest in flight at all, this is well worth checking out. You can basically explore the world, you can set flight paths for it wherever you like, and it is amazing the detail that's in this game. I mean, look at that, that is just beautiful. A very relaxing game. Again, you can hook up a flight stick if you buy those. They're about £100, and then you can control everything about the plane. It's quite difficult to get into. Some of the interesting things are that you can even fly huge planes like this 747, but the learning curve is a little bit steep. The in-game tutorials are quite confusing to try and work out, but once you know the basics, you can get up and flying relatively quick, and you can even set up a flight path where you're already flying. So it's worth checking out just to see the detail some places, and very relaxing game. Recently they've also added some combat craft. I think there was a one to celebrate Maverick Top Gun. So you've got some more fun planes to fly around in as well, like military planes. Next up is The Show 22, which has been getting a lot of popularity since it was released 2022. So if you're into baseball, this is one that you want to have a little look at. There's nothing here for me to show you a screenshot of, typical. But it's a game I haven't played. I just know a lot of people are playing it. So yeah, if you're interested in baseball, check that one out. Mortal Kombat 11, if you're after a awesome fighting game, this is one for you. So you've got crazy classic characters from the Mortal Kombat series. They look brilliantly realistic. It's supremely violent. You've got all of the horrible ways to dismember your enemies and so many different battles and things. And the combat system is just so slick. Of course, it's very, very violent. It's PEGI 18, so not one for little ones, but a cool fighting game. Storyline so-so, but the combat mechanic is pretty cool. Oblivion, an old game from the Xbox 360, again going back to backwards compatibility, but a fantastic game. Obviously showing its age now being here, so if you don't mind the old style graphics, this was a great storyline, this game. I very much enjoyed playing it, but wow, does it look dated now. So it depends whether you can put up with its old school graphics now, because it's like pushing 12 years old, but still a great storyline to it, a great world to explore, and it will while away loads of your time if you want to have a little look at that one. There's a couple of Ori games which are interesting sort of platform type games. Very, very pretty to look at as you're running through these different platforms, and some simple puzzles to explore and do as you go through. Big fan bases to the Ori games. So there's two, I think, on the Xbox Game Pass that you can explore, and they are very popular. So if you like your platformers, they are good ones to check out. Moving on, this one is an extremely fun game, particularly for two players, couch co-op, which there aren't many. I think you can also play it online. The premise is relatively simple. You have to create a variety of dishes based on the sort of ingredients that you've got. So you might have to chop the meat up and then put it on the plate, or cook it in frying pan and then put it on a plate, and along with some other things like veg and stuff, and then send that off for your customers to eat, and it can get very fast and hectic. Also really fun about this is it's often about teamwork, so if there's two of you playing, you can get very, very stressed, but having great fun. And it's very funny, you know, like one of you might be grabbing the ingredients while the other one's chopping up, and then you're rushing to beat the clock to feed all of the orders that are coming in. The orders are on the top left, so they are really, really fun and clever games that these guys make, the Overcooked games. So you've got Overcooked 2 that you can play. So highly recommend that one. One I personally haven't played, A Plague Tale: Innocence. It's talking about the tale of young Amicia and her little brother Hugo in a heartrending journey through the darkest hours of history. So it's all about a plague that's happened and exploring this horrible barren world, and you know, trying to go through a brilliant story. So it has loads of great reviews, a lot of fans to this game, and it's one I'd like to check out at some point. There's just so many games to play, but there's another great one there for you. Secret Neighbor, this is again one for that's not too violent. It's a PEGI 7, and you've basically got to explore what's going on. It's a slight horror game where a group of kids try to rescue their friend from their neighbour's creepy basement. Only problem is one of the kids is the neighbour in disguise. So it's a right random game. Quite hard to get your head around what on earth is going on. So that when I first launched the game, I was like, what is this? But a lot of people love this game. So that's another one that you can check out. Particularly good if you're looking for a game that's not so violent. Sims 4 is an interesting game done by EA 2017. And it's just setting up a little world where you manage your character and how they interact with other people, and you can, you know, build up their little life, send them to work, build up their house, and do all sorts of stuff. You'll either love The Sims or hate it, but it's a game that you can really while away many hours on. So that's interesting that that's on there, PEGI 12. If you like your Star Wars games, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a fantastic game to go through. It's a lot of fun, a lot of interesting sort of battles going on, and a good storyline as well. And of course you've got the awesome Star Wars music going on in that, and it's been optimized for Xbox Series X, even though it was released in 2019. Incidentally, as we're going through these, if you look where it says X/S at the bottom left hand corner, that means it's been improved for the latest version. Another game I haven't played really yet is Stellaris, which is a strategy game, of which there aren't many strategy games on the Game Pass, but this is one of them. Very huge, complicated game where you get to manage kind of like your I suppose, civilization. There's different ones, and you've got to work on how to build up your little empire, I suppose you'd call it. It's not really a game I've dealt with much, but I know a lot of people like it if you've got loads of time to fall into here and learn all about it. So Stellaris is one there. A recent game that came out is Turtles Shredder's Revenge even. So if you like old school beat 'em ups, this one has a very classic look to it. Check this out, look like sprite based characters, and it is a good lot of fun. You can play it multiplayer, you can play one player if you want, but you can see the team, it can get pretty hectic there. Well, we got there 6 players, so it plays online, and a lot of fun battles to be had here. 12 minutes, another one from Annapurna Interactive. This came out in 2021. It's a very interesting game. It's basically the same 12 minutes keeps looping while you figure out what on earth is going on. So you start with this overhead view and you start watching the storyline and things unwind, and it kind of keeps repeating itself, so you figure out what, how to get through the next sort of 12 minutes. A very, very clever idea. I did a complete walkthrough of it. It had me fascinated, so I kept playing it until I completed it. So well worth a little check out, that one, but it's a PEGI 18 again. There's one on this list I forgot about, which I will talk about right at the end because it's one of my favourite games on the Xbox, but we'll just finish these ones, then I'll cover that one. So 2 Point Hospital, this is a fun hospital management game, but rather than real life sort of illnesses and stuff, there's like all kinds of weird and wonderful crazy illnesses going on that you have to figure out solutions to and manage the patients coming in with these weird diseases. It's very fun, sort of building these weird machines to get solve weird made up problems with patients. So you've got to think about what sort of patients are going to come in, how they're going to be treated, have you got enough space for them, all that sort of stuff. I think it's a very clever idea to take a hospital management game and just keep it fun and entertaining. And there's loads to do. Again, a game that will keep you busy for many hours on end. Then we've got Unravel. This is another platformer, a very pretty looking game. So you've got these lovely graphics as the little character runs through the game. So if you like your platformers, again, this is one that's very popular and much liked. And I think both are on here. There's Unravel and Unravel 2. Again, a good one for younger players, so it's a PEGI 7. Viva Pinata, really, really old game. 2010 it came out, but it's a game I think is adorable. The idea is that you need to attract and tame your favourite pinatas, pinatas, sorry, and there's more than 60 of them. They roam wild, and you've got to attract them to the garden that you build. So you basically start working on a manky old piece of land and turn it into a nice, beautiful garden, and depending on what you plant, will attract certain types of pinatas into there. And where it gets interesting is trying to kind of manage the garden that to ensure that some pinatas don't attack and harm other pinatas, so and you may need to get certain things to attract some of the most colourful and interesting looking pinatas. And what's quite fun is when the pinata gets attacked or dies, all the little sweeties pop out of them like a real pinata. So it's a really fun, gentle game, PEGI 3, and still looks pretty now. I've got a lot of time for this game. I love the idea of it, and I love that they came up with a game that was bright, colourful, entertaining, and not too aggressive at all. So great game, that one. Another one where you've got loads of these on here is the Yakuza Remastered collection. And this game, these are ones I've not played, but you can see we've got Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 in here, and they're kind of like adventure games, I suppose, where you've got a storyline and places you can explore. So this is on my playlist. I want to have a little look at these, but I know a lot of people have these and are really interested in them. So that's some of the best ones. I said there was one more, and what I want to finish up with here is if we go to the Game Pass. So if I jump here, go to the game, actually let's go, I can go to My Games. There we go. And then if I have a look here, Xbox Game Pass, this you can filter by here, filter, so you can go for any genre and go through and tailor this to other ones if you want, or you can see them all. So if we just look at shooter, for example, you can see loads of other games, some of which I haven't even covered that are great games. For example, Doom Eternal is a great action-based shooter, but the one I was thinking of isn't there. I'll have to go into the, just change the filter to all, and it's Probably the one that I've enjoyed the most of a surprise game that I thought, what's this? And you know, I jumped into it and I was like, wow, this game is fantastic. And that game was this. It's called Subnautica. It came out in 2018 and I loved the idea of this. Basically, a ship crashes, it goes underwater into a water-based planet. You start with nothing and you have to explore and try and figure out what happened to this crashed ship and build up a little base and try and survive and get off of this water planet and get rescued. And I loved the idea of all this underwater world. You know, it's a completely different style of playing, so there's not so much shooting in it, it's more exploring and figuring out how to collect all your resources and how to survive in the game. But look at the colours on it, it's a beautiful game, and probably the biggest surprise I had of a game that I came to relatively unknown, and I probably wouldn't have tried if I hadn't had the Game Pass, because I was like, will it be good, will it be not? And once I started playing it, I was absolutely hooked. It's on my channel, I've done a playthrough of it. But it's one of my favourite games of the Game Pass and nicest surprise that I played, and just for being a bit different. There's also Subnautica Below Zero, which is another one, the follow-up game. It's not as big as this one, but this game is really highly recommended by me to do it. And that's it really. There's still many other games that you can go through, so when you start going through here, there's still loads of other games, and I've not covered every single game on here. There's many more classics on here that you can enjoy, but I still think the Game Pass is a wonderful bargain. There's another one there we've totally not even covered yet, Jurassic World. So that's a sort of dinosaur park building type game, so lots of fun stuff here. So by all means have a little look. If I've missed any in here that you think is awesome, do let me know in the comments. That would be great to help other people. But I've done my best to cover some of the ones that I like. There's another one that a lot of people like, Hades. So yeah, hit me up in the comments there. Hopefully you like some of these games. If you did, let me know in the comments, even if it's great, that was really useful, or anything like that is great so other people can see it. Thumbs up, much appreciated. If you like this sort of stuff, have a little look at the rest of my channel. I cover loads of different games. I'm always generating new content as well, based on the Xbox and also games that I play. So hopefully you like what you see. I release stuff regularly. And if you hit that subscribe button, you'll be kept up to date. Thanks so much for